There are mistakes people are making every day on USAJobs.gov trying to get a government job. The question is, are you making some of these same mistakes? Let's get into it. Number one is not using filters. You're approaching this like a Google search and you're just typing anything into the box, clicking search. Job filters are on the far side of the website and they're there for a reason. If you don't use the filters, it is time consuming. You can find yourself on USAJobs.gov for like 30, 45 minutes to an hour and nothing is getting accomplished. You're missing out on some of the best opportunities that line up with your experience because you don't know how to use those filters. You need to have a strategy when you get onto USAJobs.gov. You can click, I'm looking for telework, I'm looking for remote work. Change the radius of the town that you're looking in. Take some time and become more familiar with those filters. There's even filters for clearance. Maybe you don't want to take the time to go through a top secret clearance, so you can filter out those jobs so they don't even appear. Next one is you're answering the questionnaire the wrong way. It doesn't matter how qualified you are. You could be best qualified. No one out there could be able to touch you when it comes to experience and education. But if you're marking down the wrong answers to the questionnaire, you are essentially rejecting yourself. You're disqualifying yourself before you're even given a shot. You should feel confident in your abilities, in yourself, enough to mark down you're an expert. If you're not feeling comfortable marking that you're an expert for the majority of these questions on the self-assessment, I would say look at another job announcement. Stop wasting time on that job announcement. Go to one where your experience aligns a little bit better. And it will not always use the word expert. At times, it uses a different word. You have to read it. It also changes up the order. If you spent time applying to these job announcements, you understand that usually the expert one or the highly proficient one is at the bottom. So they give you 4 answers. The expert one is at the bottom. So people get into this mentality, I'm just going to click the bottom one. I'm going to click the bottom one. But then the questionnaire will mix it up. And then all of a sudden, now expert's at the top, but you're clicking the bottom, and now you're not selected. All right, listen, if you've applied 100 times or more and you're not getting any success, you owe it to yourself to at least attend a couple of virtual hiring events, federal government virtual hiring events. And if you want me to send you a list every week on which virtual hiring events are occurring in that week, I'll email it to you. Sign up to the free newsletter down below. The next one is you're applying to any job that looks halfway decent. If you find yourself randomly applying to jobs, you're probably doing it wrong. Let's say you're an IT specialist and you're just looking at any old IT specialist position and you're applying to it. If you do not read the job announcement, you don't know what they're looking for. It's not just as simple as you're a 2210, so you're going to apply to other 2210s. You could be a software developer and now you're applying for an IT specialist or even a help desk person. Those two things don't necessarily always align. You have to look in there and read it to make sure you're actually eligible and qualified for that position. Other job announcements, if you read it in the top right corner, it tells you they're only accepting so many applicants. It'll say that 25 or 50 or only the first 100 people will be considered. And you would think after that it closes, right? Well, it doesn't necessarily close until midnight. So let's say 50 people applied in the first hour. You can still have multiple people applying every single hour until it hits midnight. So that's something that you should be aware of. Another thing you should be aware of is some job announcements, they actually have resume limits. So what I'm talking about is page limits. You have a 10-page resume, but there's an agency of the Department of Homeland Security that only reads the first 5 pages. They're not looking at the 6th page. They're definitely not looking at the 10th page. So you need to look through the announcement and see, is there a page limit? All right, the next one is you're attaching an irrelevant resume. Out of every mistake that you could possibly make on USAJobs.gov, this one has to be the worst. And I see people that are well qualified almost every day apply to a job and get rejected because they have done a horrible job communicating their value, communicating their experience, their skills, and their education to human resources. And human resources cannot just guess and assume what you may or may not have. You have to have it in your resume. Even if your federal resume is matching a job series, say you have a resume that matches the 0500 job series. A 0560, which is a budget analyst, is a lot different than a 0510. Being amazing is different than being relevant. If you're eating soup for lunch today, do you want a fork? Do you want a knife? It could be an amazing knife, a gold knife, or a diamond-studded fork. You don't want that because it's not relevant to the bowl of soup. A spoon is. And when you send your amazing resume to human resources, it's the equivalent of sending somebody a knife to eat soup with. It doesn't make any sense. Next is not paying attention to the required documents. There is usually a required document section in the job announcement. This could include attaching your college transcripts with the date awarded on the transcript. Or it could mean putting a cover letter with your job application. That could be a required document. You have to read it. Could be a performance evaluation. They might want you to attach a performance evaluation. Even if you haven't worked in a government job, you need to attach something. This could be as simple as a Word document that states out, I am not a federal government employee. I do not have a performance evaluation from a federal agency. Okay, if you're still looking for a federal government job, there are some tips that could help you with USAJobs.gov, that could help you potentially get referrals and interviews. If you are interested in those tips, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.